I'm Native America Calling host Sean Spruce. Federal support for public media programs has been eliminated, including our show, but your gift can help keep us going strong. Go to the donate link at nativeamericacalling.com to make a gift today. Welcome to Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. Samantha Crain's seventh studio album, Gumshoe, has what the Chicago Reader says is an unhurried energy and openness. We'll talk with her about her first album in 5 years that includes her own beadwork on the cover. And fellow Oklahoman Ken Pomeroy has a mesmerizing collection of songs on her album, Cruel Joke, and is making her acting debut in the new Hulu series Lowdown with Ethan Hawke. We'll find out what's next for these two talented storytellers right after the news.
Wish I knew how to fit here, but I'm more like a leap year. Lucky for me, found the key, living out a mystery.
This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. A tribe on Alaska's North Slope recently hosted an emergency management course in Utqiagvik. Organizers say it's the first for a tribe in Alaska and part of an effort to bolster coordination between communities in the Arctic during disasters. The Alaska Desk's Ayolna Naiden reports.
Inupiat community of the Arctic Slope is a regional tribe representing 7 North Slope villages. The tribe worked with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, to host a course to prepare villages to respond to disasters. Stephanie Nelson is the Director of Emergency Management for the tribe. She says the training was important in light of increasing emergencies in the region and given the isolated geography of many North Slope communities.
And the outcome is enhancing the communication from all attendees and becoming better at being prepared to respond to different levels of incidences, emergencies that we face within the Arctic.
Nelson says that 2 major discussions focused on scenarios similar to actual emergencies from 2022, like Typhoon Mirbach in Point Hope and a gas leak at Alpine oil field near New Exit. Participants used those examples to discuss how cities, North Slope Borough, and tribal governments can work together in an emergency situation. The course is the result of the tribe's efforts to implement an official emergency management program. John Pennington is a professor of Homeland Security and Emergency Management at the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
It's using the strength of the Alaska Native communities that are the North Slope to improve emergency management through the lens of Alaska Natives first and foremost.
Pennington says that communities in the Arctic have been seeing intensifying storms and erosion. The state of Alaska is responsible for a vast area where several communities can experience disasters at the same time. But Pennington says that the tribe's new emergency program will also help North Slope communities to seek disaster declarations directly from the federal government when needed, which can speed up the delivery of assistance. In Anchorage, I am Alona Naiden.
The Indian Health Service is operating as business as usual during the federal government shutdown, which started Wednesday. The IHS says it has received advanced appropriations. Tribal leaders from across the country have been raising concerns about the shutdown. This week, President Thora Walsh Padilla of the Mescalero Apache tribe in New Mexico updated her community in a social media post, saying health services are operating normally, but says she's concerned about other federal programs, including Medicaid, food stamps, and Social Security, but assures the community the tribe continues its work.
Tribal leadership has conveyed our concerns to our federal representatives, and we are continually reaching out for updates as the federal budget is being developed. But please be assured, we will get through this together. Our tribe will still stand strong.
The National Congress of American Indians is also raising concerns about the government shutdown and has posted a resources page online for tribes. Governor Stephen Roe Lewis of the Gila River Indian community in Arizona sending his condolences on behalf of the tribe to the family, colleagues, and friends of Dr. Jane Goodall. The well-known primatologist passed away this week at age 91. She spent time on the Gila River Indian Reservation on Earth Day. Lewis says she reached out to young people.
To encourage them to be leaders, to be protectors of our water, of our land, of our wildlife, and of our planet.
Lewis says the tribe looks forward to carrying on her legacy of conservation. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by Drummond Woodsum, a full-service law firm whose nationally recognized tribal nations practice provides services to tribal nations and their enterprises and to companies that do business with tribes across the country. More at dwmlaw.com. Skugtash. For more than 40 years, Ramona Farms has revived ancient traditional foods, tepary beans, pinoli, polentas, and more, all from store.ramonafarms.com. Ramona Farms supports this show. Tom Nye.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
This is Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. Two Native singer-songwriters from the land of the Flaming Lips, Woody Guthrie and Jessia Davis, are getting accolades for new music they bring to audiences right now. Veteran Choctaw musician, poet, writer, and former power lifter Samantha Crain's new album is her first in almost 5 years. It has a fresh, driving rhythm, soulful vocals, and more than a taste of sarcastic humor. And Cherokee songwriter Ken Pomeroy's alternative folk debut album is a collection the Bluegrass Situation says turns tears into sonic transcendence. Today we'll hear from these two Oklahoma artists and get samples of their recent music. We also want to hear from our listeners today. That means you. And please join our conversation with a comment or question at 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. And you can also comment on our website or social media pages like Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. Joining us now from Tulsa, Oklahoma is Samantha Crain. She is a singer, songwriter, poet, and composer. She is from the Choctaw Nation. Samantha, hello, and welcome back to Native America Calling.
Halito, thank you for having me.
Halito. And joining us from Moore, Oklahoma, we have Ken Pomeroy. She is a singer and songwriter. She is a Cherokee Nation citizen. Ken, hello, and welcome to the show to you as well.
Shio, thank you for having me.
Shio. Well, Samantha, I want to begin with you, and we got a lot to talk about. First off, you just posted on social media that Gumshoe has been nominated for a Grammy. Congratulations.
Oh, no, it was not nominated. It's been submitted for a nomination.
Submitted. Okay. All right. My bad. Thank you for the clarification. But still, that's awesome. That's exciting.
But I'm down with spreading that rumor if that's something that we want to go with.
All right. Breaking news. Breaking fake news on Native America Calling, we might say. Well, hey, before we get into the music here, I want to ask you about the beadwork on your album cover. That's your work.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to do beadwork pieces for this record, just because I've always loved kind of the feel of beadwork. Like when I go to art market, and I kind of like love to run my fingers across it. And when I really started thinking more about getting the artwork together, I just realized I was not going to have the budget to like hire someone that was actually skilled in this. So I just sort of started the process of learning how to do it. And it became a really interesting observational and meditative journey along with putting the record together. I joke that all of the artwork took longer than actually writing the record, which I think it did a little bit.
So this is a new creative outlet for you, then it sounds like, beadwork.
Yeah, it is, which is why many skilled beadworkers will see the artwork and think it looks pretty janky.
Oh, geez. I don't think they'll probably just be excited that you're, showcasing more beadwork and giving more attention to the craft, I think. I'm hoping anyways.
Yes, I
Um,
mean, it's part of the story too, so it's not necessarily about the perfection of it.
okay, right on. Well, let's talk about the album title Gumshoe. It's related to a kids' TV show. Tell us more.
Yeah, kind of. When I was younger, I was really obsessed with this TV show and computer game called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And that's what the chief would always call you when you were watching the show, that they'd call you Gumshoe. And I just loved the word. And I've been writing since I was a kid. And so I've just noticed that this was just a word that I had in notebooks pretty frequently throughout my teenage years and into my 20s and 30s. And I just realized I had this obsession with this word, and I wanted to use it in some way. And it really, the album started becoming about my sort of lifelong obsession with solving problems and kind of like uncovering mysteries and observing people and just sort of like discovering myself and understanding life and just always asking why this, why that. And I've felt like since that's sort of where the songs were headed, Gumshoe felt like a apt title for the record, and I could finally, put a pin in my obsession with this word.
Yeah, no, it's a good fit. And Carmen Sandiego, that's a millennial thing. That's that generation, that show, right?
Yeah, yeah, I
90s.
think so. I mean, yeah, it would have been 90s, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I also know you've been studying the Choctaw language, and tell us more about that and how you've been exposed to that throughout your life and how it plays into your creative process now.
So yeah, I mean, on my last two albums, I've had songs that I've written in the Choctaw language. I actually don't have any songs on this record on Gumshoe in the Choctaw language, but it's sort of because I've found myself in this little this weird little part of learning the language, which is that when you first start learning, you're thinking about it more in terms of like translation. You're learning vocabulary words, and so whenever you think of, the word for dog, ofi, you're still like like a native English speaker are thinking about a dog, and you're thinking about the English word dog and like what that means to the English language and to like a Western civilization. And I think like I've gotten to the point in my language learning where I'm starting to realize that before I kind of move forward in writing more in the language, there's this hump I have to kind of get over, which is thinking as a Choctaw and sort of writing from the Choctaw language rather than writing from like an English mindset and then just translating it into Choctaw. And so that's sort of why I don't have a Choctaw language song on this record, but I am working on other stuff currently. But like a good example of that is something that I've sort of run across a lot when I've been talking about this record is so for instance in Choctaw, in the language, we don't have words for is or are. And I think that sort of speaks to our values, like as a people, that animals and plants and humans and all things they're not permanent or static, I guess. So like we can't really describe anything in any real certainty. We can only just sort of pair it with descriptors as it is in that present moment. And so, you know, that is a mindset thing from where I would be writing from, rather than sort of more Western thought of like people are sort of defined by certain features and like predispositions. And we write from that standpoint too. I've always thought of myself as like this lone wolf, this very independent person. And that's sort of this character of myself that I've written from for my whole life. And now, especially with Gumshoe and moving forward, I think I realize sort of how flexible and impermanent I am and everything around me is. And it sort of opens up writing to just more observational and less, I think, like feeling based, I guess.
Okay. Now, this is your first full-length album since A Small Death, and that came after a particularly difficult time for you. What are some of the events in your life that you have been able to turn into songs?
Well, I mean, everything really. Yeah, I mean, with the last record, I was writing that after, having gone through a pretty significant car wreck, and I lost the use of my hands for a while and was sort of in this situation where I didn't think I'd be able to play guitar again. And so those songs sort of came about out of that journey of trying to understand who I would be as a person if I didn't have uh, music, if I couldn't like attach this word musician to myself. Um, and those songs are sort of my thoughts about that. These songs, Gumshoe, I mean, this record actually has like a completely different, unfortunately has like a completely different meaning to me than it did when it came out in May, because I wrote a lot of these songs about inviting community and being vulnerable to reciprocity within other people in your life. Specifically, my partner, Dustin, and he has since passed away since this record came out. And so it's just even more so just about the impermanence of things in your life, and just like the constant discovery of like what things mean and what they mean in that moment. And so even this album has like the meaning of it has changed since May, since it came out. So
Mm-hmm. Samantha, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll hear some tracks off this new album. The first one is that we're going to listen to is called Riding Out the Storm. So listeners, stay with us. We've got music on the other side of this break and more conversation with Samantha Crain. And of course, we also have Ken Pomeroy on the show as well. So this is a music show, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk, and we're going to learn more about these artists and the music that they're sharing with us today. So give us a call if you'd like to join the conversation. 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Give us a call. We've got the phone lines open. The producers will hear what you have to say, and they'll transfer it over to me, and we'll put you on the air. 1-800-99-NATIVE. The federal government is about to institute additional restrictions to publicly subsidized housing for Native Americans and millions of others. At the same time, existing financing and bureaucratic hurdles are creating housing shortages on some reservations. We'll take a look at efforts to help Native homeowners on the next Native America Calling.
The Association on American Indian Affairs invites all to Tribal Museums Day, December 6th through December 12th. Tribal museums may offer no-cost or reduced admission, gift shop discounts, art markets, and live cultural demonstrations. Tribal Museums Day honors diverse Native nations as the experts of their own cultures. You can find a map of tribal museums and more at indian-affairs.org/Tribal Museums Day. The association supports this show.
Thank you for listening to Native America Calling. Today we're hearing from Choctaw singer-songwriter Samantha Crain about her recent album release, Gumshoe. We'll also talk soon with Cherokee songwriter Ken Pomeroy. And Samantha, the first song that I want to play today is titled Riding Out the Storm. It's off the album Gumshoe, of course. Let's take a listen. That is Riding Out the Storm off the album Gumshoe by Samantha Crain. And Samantha, great sound. Really like that track. Just smooth, just like a driving song. Something I'd like to listen to when I'm taking a road trip somewhere. Tell us a little bit more about where that came from.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to write like sort of an autobiographical life up until now song, like some of those big, like expansive, like Dylan songs. But I hadn't quite known how I wanted to like structure it. And then one night I was watching this TV show called The Great, and there was just this one line that kind of caught me off guard that I liked, and I think it's probably based on some like older, more canonical text, but basically the line, this woman said, "Let it go. It's a storm. They will never stop coming, but pass through and away. They always will." And so I think I wanted to somehow stream out all of the ways in which my life has been sort of suffering and growth and absurdity and sincerity and mundane and excitement. And so that's sort of where the inspiration for this very long driving song came from.
All right. I just Googled The Great, a British American satirical dark comedy drama, huh? Interesting
Yes,
show.
I guess
Okay.
so.
All right. Well, let's take a listen to another track here. This one is titled Fool's Paradise.
Seems I'm always waiting to fall down before I tie the lace. I saw at the park when I cry they build arcs. And I hope you understand. I-40 forever glistening. Delilah in the dark, the moon like a dog's eyeball is all, the telling light I need. Kookaburra life, I know I must sigh in a fool's paradise. Said, you know that I try to go and plumb out my mind. My yellow belly hides well, means well, forgetting all I've won. If all days are new, then my mind is too. And gold fields were true. Kookaburra life, I know I must sigh in a fool's paradise. Kookaburra said, you know that I try to go and plumb out my mind. All I needed completed me so easily, so frequently. I relish in the way you so obscenely carry on without.
That was Fool's Paradise by Samantha Crain, and another really, really nice track. Like that sound very much, Samantha. And you're doing a lot of work in the United Kingdom right now. You've got concerts, you've done performances. Tell us a little bit more about what the reception's been like and what you've got going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been touring all summer, kind of all over the States and also in Europe and the UK. And yeah, I've just I guess my label and my management is based over in the UK, and then also I've just sort of slowly built a really nice um, fan base over there. And so yeah, I have tended to kind of go over there more often and play shows. I've got a big show coming up in March that we just announced at a really amazing venue called Union Chapel, which is kind of like a bucket list thing for me. So yeah, I kind of am continuing to go over there and play shows.
And do you notice a difference in the audiences in the UK as opposed to what you find here in the US?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is probably a bit of like the the old adage of not being able to be like a prophet in your own home or something. Not saying that I'm a prophet, but like that adage of like people when you go outside of your own home, people have a little bit more like curiosity or like reverence maybe for what you're doing, whereas the familiarity of who I am maybe around these parts, it's probably a little bit harder for people to really want to like they understand who I am because they're like me, and so it's not maybe as curious. So I think there is a bit more uh like like a curiosity, I guess, whenever you kind of go to a part of the world that's not where you're from.
Mm-hmm. Now, you talked to Mark Maron on his WTF podcast about stage fright. What brought that on, and how do you deal with that when you're performing live?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've never dealt with up until a couple of years ago. I played a show that I just wasn't really prepared for because I had been in sort of the writing mode. I had been writing and recording this record, and I wasn't very practiced. And I played this show that I just felt like was probably the worst show that I've ever played. And I don't know what it was. It was just some sort of like thing in me switched where it in baseball they call it the yips, right? Like you've done
Uh-huh.
something so many times that something happens where you start to like second guess something that's just like second nature to you. And that's sort of what that moment brought on for me was like, oh, maybe I don't actually know how to do this. And then it just sort of became like a spiral of anxiety and second guessing myself. So yeah, I when I had this tour coming up this summer, which was going to be 3 months long, I realized I needed to sort of yeah, take a look at like what was kind of causing this, and then um find ways to get myself through it. The main way that I found to get myself through it and to kind of get myself over this hump was to play uh Choctaw social dance songs in between my own songs, like while I was tuning or things like that. I just played them over the main speakers, just for filler music, but also for me to feel like my ancestors and my family were there with me, and to just sort of be like an audible like hug for myself to get me out of like wherever my brain might be spiraling. And I really do feel like it helped because I feel like by the end of the summer I didn't have really any of that stage fright anymore.
That sounds really cool. So you just are able to reflect back and connect your culture into it. Did the audiences comment at all, or did you get any feedback when you would play those Choctaw songs in between sets?
Yeah, because I mean, I was really open with the audience about why I was playing them, because I feel like the more you can kind of talk about something, the less scary it becomes. And so I was really open with people why I was playing those songs between my own songs. And yeah, I think the audience has really enjoyed being able to hear um, some chance that they wouldn't really have access to hearing, first and foremost, and then also hearing about how it relates to me and how it affects me, like on a spiritual and physical level. And yeah, I think it was just like a special thing that they got to kind of be a part of.
Right on. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for joining the show. Love listening to your music. What's the best way for our listeners to keep up to date with what you've got going on in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on all the like normal social media channels. Also my website is just samanthacrain.com, and that's where I post any tour dates and new music, and uh, I will have new music coming out shortly in a couple of weeks. So yeah, just that's probably the best way.
All right. Samantha Crain, singer, songwriter, poet, and composer from the Choctaw Nation, Native America Calling. We're doing a music show today. And next up, we have Ken Pomeroy, who is a singer and songwriter, Cherokee Nation citizen also. And Ken, again, thank you for joining the show. And let's talk a little bit about your music now before we play the first track. It's got a melancholy to it. What's the appeal there for you and your listeners?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. And the melancholy, I feel like this comes a little bit by default. I had kind of I had to grow up pretty quickly. And so with all of that comes a lot of, adult-sized feelings as a kid that I wasn't sure exactly how to deal with. So that then turned into a lot of unresolved childhood feelings as an adult. And I think a lot of this record has a big part of that kind of thing.
Okay. Now, it also has what I would describe as a country feel to it, but how do you describe your own style, Ken?
I have grappled with this for a long time. I would say folk. Folk can be very diverse and, from the people, and I think that that's maybe the best way I'd describe it.
Now, you've got a lot going on. Just like Samantha, you are on a John Denver tribute concert that was aired on PBS this week. You're on screen in the Lowdown series on Hulu. You've got a social media show. Did you see all this coming, or was this all kind of a master plan for your career?
I don't think anything has ever been a master plan. I feel like I've gotten really lucky with the opportunities that have been given to me, and I'm really thankful for it. But yeah, I have not expected really any of this to happen. It's an interesting thing. Obviously, so much good comes from it, but it's a bit overwhelming.
Well, Lowdown, I mean, this is a big show. It's getting a lot of media attention. What's it like being on set?
It was honestly probably best case scenario. I had never acted before, but I feel like, I knew a lot of the crew, and I'm friends with a lot of people who are around most of the time. So I was as comfortable as I could be in the most uncomfortable situation that I could be put in.
What can you tell our listeners about your role without giving away any spoilers? I
play an Oklahoma debutante, and I come home to my dad being dead and having to kind of navigate that and navigate this kind of tumultuous relationship with my mom, who also is like having a hard time grieving my dad in the show. So it's just all kind of a mess.
I like how you said Oklahoma debutante. There was kind of I couldn't really, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. There was kind of a gray area there. So yeah, no, this is exciting. This is cool. Ken, we have to take another break here, but when we come back, we're going to hear some tracks from your new album, Cruel Joke. And We're going to continue this conversation as well. So, listeners, just stay buckled in. We've got more music and more conversation on the other side of this break, and enjoying this music so far. And I hope you are too. So, stay with us, and we will be right back.
Hei, isto man ko hot wea ke tenam awana ke to banisi ke nawa. Yam to da ko mos awa shu up to ki kwati ko this breast cancer screening teatro to mati da panna. Asta tayu ya ke nehan to this healthcare.gov/coverage ke awa nan ta isto 1-800-318-2596 up da na ke up to. Look your Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to na pedalito lo ke nawe. Ela kwa.
You are listening to Native America Calling. We're getting insights into the music of Cherokee singer-songwriter Ken Pomeroy, who is currently on tour with music from her new album, Cruel Joke. And Ken, this first track we're going to play, it's titled Flannel Cowboy. And I'd like for you to go ahead and introduce this to our listeners here before we play it.
Okay, yeah. This song, a lot of people think is a traditional love song, but there's a lot of spite hidden in there, and there's a lot of kind of hate in it, I think, that people miss, but I'm up for, whatever you guys want to think.
Broke you like a mirror into pieces. A few of me staring back in disbelief. Honey, I swear I didn't mean to. Never loved someone like I loved you. Flannel cowboy, put your hand in mine. I get lost for days in your green eyes. Flannel cowboy, I'm sorry for what I've done. I still hope we can fall asleep together in the sun. The grass is dying on the other side. Feels like I'm dying while I'm still alive. We both had our share of hell by now. Silent screaming, trying to get it out. Flannel cowboy, put your hand in mine. I get lost for days in your green eyes. Flannel cowboy, I'm sorry for what I've done. I still hope we can fall asleep together in the sun.
That was Flannel Cowboy from Ken's new album, Cruel Joke. And Ken, before we played that song, you told our listeners, whatever you guys want to think. And I'll tell you what, I think it sounds great. I mean, what kind of music did you listen to growing up in Moore, Oklahoma?
I listen to a lot of older music. I even still feel like I don't have a lot of modern influence, but John Denver is really kind of the reason that I play music. And like you mentioned earlier, being a part of that tribute to him was like the highlight of my year. Just because, when I was around 6 years old, I heard the song Leaving on a Jet Plane for the first time. And I think that it kind of opened my mind as a kid about how music could make you feel, and I was really intrigued by that. And I just was so obsessed with how he was able to get his point across and make you really feel it.
Mm-hmm. I was talking with the producers yesterday when we were planning this show, and I just remember, I'm of that age. I remember the 70s when John Denver was at the peak of his career. He was everywhere. He was on television. He was in movies. He was on the radio. He was just such an icon. And but I'm thinking you're a little young to have remembered that or have been around during that time.
Yeah, I remember I told my dad that I wanted to go see him in concert, and he had to break the news that he was no longer with us.
Oh, yeah. Well, you definitely, you definitely just his legacy. You really, really do honor it with the work that you do, for sure, Ken.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. I'm always fascinated by country music, and again, I don't want to pigeonhole you into that genre of country, but I just feel so much of that. I'm a big country music fan, and I hear a lot of that in your sound. And is it different, like, because there's country music from like parts of Oklahoma, and then you've got like Texas, and then you've got like, the South, like in Georgia and places like that. And do you notice like a different sound or like a different kind of creative inspiration for what goes into like traditional American folk music from different parts of the country like that?
Oh, totally. I think specifically where you're from has a huge impact if you're doing something authentically. I think a lot of the country music that is being cranked out right now is not super authentic. So I have a huge appreciation for people who I feel like are really like making something from the heart and like from the land that they're from. But I think Oklahoma has something special as well. I think it's kind of, I mean, it's such a interesting place, specifically Tulsa, where I live now. That it just has such a sense of community, and it just feels natural. I don't know how else to explain it. There's so much history also like woven into Oklahoma itself, a pretty depressing history, but history nonetheless.
Right. And then also the Cherokee element as well, because you bring that into your music.
Yes, I think that, being native and being a part of something so much bigger than myself is kind of a cross to bear. I feel like I just want to do the best that I can to eventually be a good ancestor. But I think in the music, I incorporate a lot of animals and nature themes that kind of happen by default just because of, how I was raised. And my mama always, told stories, and specifically the coyote is really important because she named me Ustiwaya, which means little wolf, but she would call me Coyote as a joke, and it's obviously not the greatest omen of all time. So it means I was just kind of a little jerk, and I incorporate the coyote a lot in my songwriting just because I feel like it's such a, like when people see a coyote, they're kind of like, get out of here. Like you're skinny and you have mange, like get out of here. And I feel like that's a good representation for how I feel.
All right. And My wife is Cherokee also, so I'm familiar with mama, the term mama. We hear that a lot around our house as
Yeah.
well. That's super cool. Ken, let's take a listen to this recently released single. It's titled Bound to Rain.
Canned food and new tattoos. 2 men killed when the cat got loose. That concludes tonight's news. You knew it's bound to rain. It's bound to rain. Stay vague, my dear. Slap the face of the auctioneer, selling countryside in a new frontier. Steer clear, it's bound to rain. Bound to rain. White dog with one black eye. Family ties that'll bleed you dry. A standoff on county lines, and you're wondering why. It's bound to rain. It's bound to rain. Red-tailed deer in a pickup truck, fighting fire with fire in the hole you dug. You're getting burned and you're afraid, mate. Buddy, you're in love. It's bound to rain. Bound to rain. It's bound to rain. It's bound to rain.
That is Bound to Rain, a single from Ken Pomeroy. Another great one, Ken. Where did, give us a little bit more background on that song. How'd you come up with it?
Yeah, so I relate a lot to what Sam was saying about her song Riding Out the Storm. That a storm will always come and rain is inevitable. And the song kind of talks about, being from a smaller town and seeing people get caught up in this kind of I wouldn't say lie, but it just seems all a little deceiving about how good your life can be. And I think that I see a lot of it in my own family where you kind of buy into this bigger thing that people are trying to sell you. And I don't think any of us know anything other than it's 100% going to rain at some point.
Really, my wheels turning with regard to like deceiving and like coming from like a smaller town. There's just like a lot to take away from this music. And you're on tour right now. Tell us more. What do you got going on?
So we have been pretty much nonstop on the road since last February, which has been such a learning experience after not doing a bunch of heavy touring. I just turned 23, but I've been doing this for a long time, not quite at this scale. And I'm learning a lot about how to stay healthy on the road so much, but I think it's really cool to experience parts of the United States specifically. We haven't gone overseas yet, but just seeing so many different parts of the land is really one of my favorite parts about touring. But we also play music during that, so that's been also a learning experience. I relate to Sam a lot with the stage fright thing. That's a huge part of my experience performing live, and I haven't quite found the remedy for that yet. So I'm getting there, but I've really enjoyed touring, and I've really enjoyed being able to connect with people about the music.
You mentioned the importance of staying healthy on the road. How do you do that? Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it sleep? What else does it take?
I think it's all of that combined, or at least even just trying to get to those points, even trying, to eat healthier and get your body moving after being in a car for however many hours is really important. And, listening to semi-positive media is a really important one, because it can get really depressing, just being in a car and traveling across the country, listening to even some of the news happening currently. But I'm a huge murder podcast fan, so I had to dial that back.
Semi-positive media. That's cool. Any plans for a second album?
Oh yeah, all the plans. Bound to Rain is actually kind of I'd say the start of my writing for the next album. It's like one of the first songs that I wrote after Cruel Joke came out, and I think it's kind of a step in that direction.
All right. Well, Ken, we're out of time. We're going to have to wrap it up, but thank you so much for coming on the show today. And also Samantha Crain, who joined us. We wish them both the best of health and prosperity as they continue their fantastic careers. And please join us again next week for more conversations about Indigenous issues and topics. Our executive producer is Art Hughes. Our producers are Andy Murphy, Sol Traverso, and Joe Thompson. Marino Spencer is the engineer. Sho McPolin is the digital producer. Nola Daves Moses is the distribution director. Bob Peterson is the network manager for Native Voice One. Clifton Chadwick is our national underwriting sales director. Antonia Gonzalez is the anchor for National Native News. Charles Sather is our chief operations officer. The president and CEO of Quantic Broadcast Corporation is Jacqueline Salee. Have a safe weekend. I'm Sean Spruce.
Buju gikaganawain dagon jabwate shimagoyen. Ganoje no kida ni shinabe akwazi wigamigung jigikendaman dawajge ijichigayan jabwate shimagoyen gedudu shing. Nawaj jigikendaman mawadishawain healthcare.gov/coverage gema ganoj 1-800-318-2596. Gaunde Nagadeg, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
Aga yedelo husk al stelt al sinto aleni daasti. Tatlano hetani yela nudana dega uxest adanelaski adel quasti ganadi adahesk agolies de jasuyes de usted to dolce hai. You go to dula to delo ho histe na healthcare.gov/coverage alle 1-800-318-2596. He age to know some Medicare alla Medicaid una dalgai.
Native America Calling is produced in the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Quantic Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service. Music is by Brent Michael Davids. Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.